Is this thing on? Let's see. I'm trying today to stream on. Can I hear myself? Yeah. I'm trying to stream to Instagram alongside with YouTube. Let's see. We're going live on Instagram right now. And let's see if we can make this be any better. I started the stream. And Instagram is live. Now, if I make this, I can't. I have to end stream and start. Well, we're gonna be streaming in landscape mode today. I might try to figure it out later. Welcome everybody who's joining on the Instagram side and on the YouTube side. Dan, your messages are not making it to Instagram, but it'll be okay. The world will be better without your comments making it to Instagram. So, how's everybody doing? I'm a little bit late this week. Normally, I try to stream on Mondays, but Monday I was flying back from Puerto Rico, whereas I was on vacation. I did some ham radio hamming over there and had a great time. And yesterday was my birthday, so I was busy celebrating that. And only today I had time to come and stream. I don't have any guests today. It's just me. And I just want to talk with you about the recently released March version of Ham2K PoLo. Let's see if I can bring out the emulator. I had it down this morning. So I want to share some screens and show you what's up with Ham2K PoLo. What's new in the app. Where did here's my Instagram window. And my simulators here. And I gotta get my docs in a row. Here we go. So Ham2K PoLo March 2025 release, also known as 25.3.0, but now it's .2 because every time I release something, there's bugs and we fix them quickly. And you get the .1, .2, .3, and so on. Man, I should have tried this earlier, but I think I'll survive. This is what you get for watching live streams. You get to see me fumble in my attempt at doing a live demo because I wasn't fully prepared. Shame on me. Anyways, thank you for the happy birthday, guys. Prike and Dan, who shows us that he actually knows how to use emojis. That's awesome. Hello to the people on Instagram who are joining us today. The first time we are transmitting live on Instagram too. We're going to try to make it a thing. So I got to figure out how to send both vertical and horizontal video to the two streams. And while I do that, I'm trying to get my PoLo development environment to work so I can show it on my screen. I broke it. What did I do here? Let's do this from scratch. So instead of doing that, maybe while I do that, I'm going to talk about the plans I have for PoLo for the next couple of months. The April release, the pre-release versions are going to be coming out maybe later this week if I can fix a couple of bugs. And the main thing in there, besides a lot of progress in QSO parties, is that we've updated the underlying framework that PoLo is built on is called React Native, and we hadn't updated in a few months. And there's some new exciting developments in the React Native world, and we're trying to get PoLo to use the latest version of that. And but that took a lot of work, fixing some issues, compiling and preparing everything. It should be ready to go, and I want to have a test release out early this month so we can give it a good shakedown over this weekend, and probably next. I don't think it's going to have much more new stuff in it. It should make PoLo faster. I don't know if you'll be able to perceive it on a day-to-day basis, but it's going to be consuming less resources, going to be faster, it's going to be better, and it's going to let us do more in the future with the latest versions of all the libraries we use. There's going to be a couple of minor features in here and there. We'll see what makes it in the end for April. One big thing we've been working on is cat control. There's a good amount of development happening right now and testing, trying to come up with a hardware bridge for cat control that would allow you to connect a USB port from your radio and bridge it to Bluetooth Low Energy, which is the best way to connect with iOS or Android phones. And this will allow us to do cat control on any kind of radio from iOS devices which don't have a way of doing USB serial and would only work with Wi-Fi. And it will make it easier to do also cat control on Android phones, because you would have to figure out the right cables and adapters to connect using a cable, whereas Bluetooth Low Energy will be really more efficient and faster to connect, faster to manage, and consume less battery too, hopefully. We've been trying to come up with this bridge device using several different types of hardware. We're playing around, and it will likely end up being something along the lines of a Raspberry Pi Zero, which costs about $15. So it's not going to be that expensive of a device. Next is picking up the sync service that we were working on earlier this winter, and kind of like set it aside to finish a couple of other things. We want to have a good sync service on the cloud that lets you back up all your logs, but also share them with any other device you have, multiple phones or phones and tablets. And ideally, it'll be the channel that lets you connect PoLo on your phone to PoLo on, drumroll, Windows. I want to have the sync service in place before we tackle a desktop version of PoLo, not just for Windows, but for Windows, Linux, Macs. It'll be like a standard universal application that will run on any platform. And we want to have the sync service in place because I hope people will want to use their phones and their desktops all together. And so I hope the Windows version will be ready early this summer. I don't think it'll be sooner than that. May will be too soon, probably June. May will be the month where we get the sync service in place, but who knows? We'll see how hard is it to build that first Windows version, and then after that, then all bets are off. There's lots of things we want to do in terms of not syncing, but pushing from PoLo to all the different logging services, including PODA, SODA, be able to send your logs directly from the application without having to export a file, be able to send your logs to QRZ, to Club Log, to Wavelog, to any logging app that has any kind of API that we can push QSOs to, make it easy to send your QSOs from PoLo after you're done with your operation. We're working hard on QSO parties, and the plan is to have all the states complete before, obviously, that state QSO party happens. Hopefully, at least a month before it happens. I think we're caught up to May, so the April release will have all the May QSO parties in it. This is experimental. This is early access, meaning I'm not guaranteeing it works perfectly, and in part because we've never tested it with that particular QSO party. So use it at your own risk. But I invite you to try it, to play with PoLo for whatever QSO parties you're participating in the upcoming months. Give it a shot. I think that it's a very complete support for scoring and malts and the rules of each QSO party. We'll be adding better support for spotting on the whatever network is the best for each one of those QSO parties. Some of them have specialized sites that they like to use for spotting. Others use the regular the regular spotting networks. And of course, you'll be able to do your QSO parties alongside with PODA and SODA and World Wildlife or any other activities you want to do at the same time. The goal is to have all the QSO parties this year, and then we'll probably start trying to add support for contests. In fact, there's a simple, we call it the generic simple contest or simple generic contest. It's already in the March release, and it lets you just log something that looks like a contest with an open exchange field where you can enter whatever the exchange is for that contest. It doesn't have support for sequence numbers yet, but we'll probably add that for April. It doesn't do any scoring or any malt checks. It'll let you do score. It'll let you run a contest using PoLo if you need to do that right now, and you don't need any fancy support for features like N1MM or DXLog would provide. But we want to do full-on contest support with full scoring, with band maps and all of that. The Windows version or the desktop version will be more helpful for that because will have more screen real estate. But we still want to make it possible to do contesting from a phone or a tablet, because I actually believe that the screen available on, say, an iPad mini is probably the ideal real estate for a contest, in a way that will force you to be focused on that screen and limit your attention and the distractions you get. I think that most contest setups where you have a huge screen full of windows are actually counterproductive for the contest. You have to move your head around to look at so many things and try to remember where you put the window that shows the malts or the window that shows the band plan. And I think that we can do a better job at that. So that's one of the things I have in my wish list of things to tackle with PoLo. What other things we have down the pipeline? We want to do better management of an operation life cycle, meaning knowing when you start the operation, knowing if you pause or knowing if you end the operation, so that we can suggest things you can do at the right time, knowing when you're running a frequency, calling CQ, or when you're just hunting around the spots, because the kind of features we can offer are different in those two modes. And even knowing if you're doing an activation that will have different segments or different parts, where, say, you want to have a single activation for your entire weekend, or you're doing a rove, you want to hit 5 parks. I think you should be able to do that in a single log and indicate when you're switching parks or when you're switching counties in the case of a QSO party and things like that, and keep that in a single log. That's probably going to be our aim during the fall, to be able to do the support roving and activities that span operations that have multiple activities that come and go and then change the references you use on the activity. I don't know if the chat has any comments or any questions, but as I say, those are a lot of the ideas we have in mind. It'll take a few months to get to all of them, but we'll get there. Let's see if this, yay, the March release is working. Let me see if I can share my screen and go do a quick demo of the March release. Let's see. Let's take Dan's emojis that have been on the screen for a while there. Thanks for the emojis, Dan. And let me make this bigger. There we go. I apologize to the people on Instagram who the phone will be very small on your screens. I'll try to do better next time. But here's the March release. A nice photo taken during the Orlando Hamcation. A little bit of a operation we did back there. I like to show to people what to do when you get a new update, which is to go in the March where it says the version, and you will find a release notes explaining all the things we've added on any particular release. March, as you can see, was very, very busy. We added support for a dozen QSO parties. We added the simple contest activity. We added export settings with templates. Stacking partial calls is my favorite thing. And other minor things like using the spots to prefill POTA parks, high deleted QSOs, which is something people have been asking for a while. We added worked all Ireland support, and Paraik on the YouTube chat is asking if we're going to do roving support for that. And yes, the idea, Paraik, is that any feature we add, the idea behind, for example, having an operation with segments or multiple activities and whatnot, would work with any of the extensions. So it should work for Worked All Ireland and Britain. It should work for Grits on the Air if we add that later. It should work for QSO parties. It should work for POTA and so on. I want to show, I did it last week in last week's streams with Woody, but I'll give a quick show of some of the features. The one about exports is available in the login settings. There's export settings here at the bottom, and you now get a list of based on what features you have enabled. You will have options for each one of those features and options for each different export type for feature. For example, Soda has a separate export for hunters, separate from regular activation. The QSO parties have the Cabrillo export versus ADIF export. Each one of these will have a few settings, including the file name for the template, the title included in the template, what to include in the ADIF QSO notes and QSO comments, and the QSL message. And below each field, you get an example of what your template would look like based on the values you enter. And let me see if I can show some examples of what this means. I can do something here that oops, opref, not logref. Logref, for example, will be replaced by the reference you're activating, and log.call should be call sign. There's a documentation down here that should help. Op station is what I was looking for. Op.station. So now I can show a file name that's my part number followed by my call sign, for example. I can make this lowercase. No. What was the downcase? Yes, downcase will transform the value to lowercase, for example, if you prefer lowercase and things like that. These templates are super powerful. There's some explanation down here. There's I've left some information in the Ham2K forums, and will be adding some to the manual to explain more. But you can look at these notes down here to get a clue of how it works. I'm planning on using this templating language to extend a few very advanced features. For example, to make spot messages customizable based on how often you're spotting and what type of spot you're doing, what's the destination of the spot. I want to make, in the future, we want to make, for example, CW keying or even voice keying, kind of like what N1MM does in a contest, and you can automate that using the templates. It will all use the same type of template. So having built a templated engine into PoLo already for this feature will open the door to a lot of new things down the line. Most of you will not have to use this, but if you're the kind of person who really wants to have a very specific file name format, this is the way to get it, or very specific QSO notes that include the park references and so on, because you want to export it to, say, QRZ that doesn't really support POTA fields, then this is the way to get exactly what you want and dial it to perfection. The other big feature that came in this year, I'm running Victor Kilo 1 Alpha Oscar's data today because I was debugging an issue. Let's see if I can show how the call stacking works. Woody did a great demo in the last video. I have to extract that and post it as a separate video, but in the meantime, I'll show you how it works here. You say you are, and I'm going to show you using the iPhone keyboard. You are running a pileup, and you hear somebody say Kilo India something, and then you hear somebody actually come up with Whiskey 1 Charlie Whiskey, Whiskey Charlie, and then at the very tail end of that, you also had somebody say park to park ending with an R. So you use the / or the .. either works, and it's available here in the number key on the iOS or the PoLo's virtual number key. Most Android keyboards have a period available next to the space, and that's an easy way to enter the period or the slash. But you basically use 2 periods or 2 slashes to separate the fragments of the calls. And when you hit submit, if you notice, Brian Names is still here because that's the only full call sign I have in the entire set of fragments. As soon as I hit send, it'll log that one and keep the rest of the fragments here available for me to continue. So I'll call whomever the park to park ending with R. Go ahead, and I get, it was November 1 Romeo Romeo. And I also get another fragment, November, or he might say he has a second operator. I can add the comma and add November 1 Romeo Juliet. And now I have 2 calls in the stack, and I can even get another call here in the stack, Kilo India 2 Delta. And again, I submit, and it gets the last call from the calls. If I send again, it'll take these 2. And finally, I get KI, and I get KI to Echo. Kilo India to Echo, and I get the last one in the call. So that's call stacking. It lets you manage fragments of calls in the middle of a pileup. Hopefully, I've used it already a couple of times, not on every QSO, but every now and then I hear a partial and I want to save it so that after I'm done completing the QSO, I can call the person I asked to stand by, or a person who submitted, who I heard that partial. I hope you guys enjoy that feature. I think that many of you will find it useful. And please leave comments, as they say. Please leave comments on YouTube. Please join our Discord, join our forums, leave comments on Instagram about using those features and any other feature ideas you have in mind. Another big feature is you could delete a QSO. It's PoLo always / the QSO to make it easy for you to revert if you wanted to. But now you can delete your QSOs, and with this option, show deleted QSOs, it's no longer visible. I know that some people were annoyed by having that discarded QSO in the middle of the list. Now you can hide them. I think this will be the favorite feature of a lot of people that have been asking for it. So, and I think that's about it. That's all the big new stuff available. There's the generic simple contest. If you add that, you can make your operation into a contest. You have to enter the contest identifier based on the Cabrillo list of identifiers and whatever exchange you're sending for that contest. So if I were to do this for the New York QSO party, I know that that identifier is this, but this link here can take you to an official list of a lot of identifiers in case you need to find the right one. And for example, for New York QSO party, we'll send Sullivan County. And now I have a contest, and I can log. I have an exchange field here where I can enter whatever I get from my my QSOs. Oops, looks like I lost my main camera. Hold on one second. I'm gonna have to switch cameras and figure it out later. Here we go. Hi everybody. And now you have an exchange field here, and that you can use to log your contest calls. And at the end, you can generate a Cabrillo file that will most likely not be perfect for what the contest requires, but you'll be able to edit it and modify it to whatever's needed. So if you want to start contesting using PoLo, this is the version where you can do it without hacks around states and things like that other people have done in the past. So that's it for the March release of PoLo. I don't know if any of you has in the chats have questions. I'm happy to see a few of my friends from Latin America, from Colombia, from España, de Puerto Rico. Un saludo a todos, 73. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat in the next couple of minutes. Otherwise, I'm going to call it a night and finish this stream and go back to work on PoLo. Try to get that April release ready to roll out. I need to figure out how to better stream for both YouTube in horizontal and Instagram in vertical. If any of you has any suggestions, I would welcome them. This is my first time trying to do this, and Restream doesn't have an automatic solution for it. In fact, I'll do some tests after ending the stream. I'm going to end it early so I can do the tests. I wish everybody a good evening, good DX, and 73. Talk to you all next week, or hopefully up in the air in the bands.